Hi guys, so story time about my lawsuit with Magic City. Let's get into it. Now, during this story time, the first one, I'm going to ease into really how this whole process has been with the lawsuit. A lot of people, I think, are misunderstood and they're not realizing that this situation started in September of 2023, okay? But I have been dealing with a lot of extra shit for about, I only worked there for a year. Probably everything started a month or two after, when I just started realizing, like, no, this is wrong. This is wrong. Y'all girls don't know this is wrong. Y'all don't know y'all's laws. And I soon began to realize that a lot of girls who are in nightlife do not know their rights and their laws and stuff like that. And me, outspoken how I am, of course, I was, bringing it up, bringing it to surface. And that ended up, making my work environment a little weird, very uncomfortable, very toxic. And there was just a lot that went into play. But where I'm going to start at is what happened in September of 2023 that has led up to now. Okay? So, long story short, I'm sure you guys remember because it went viral. I had did a story time on a female rapper who had came into the club, picked up a bunch of money, and, yada, yada, yada. Well, before that even happened, I had already been speaking out about this in-house agent, pimp, if you want to say, named Baller, who literally takes money from the girls in the club. And if you make it a problem or speak about it, then he'll tell you, I'm going to make it very hard for you to make money in here. Okay, which is exactly what ended up happening to me. So before even the situation with Miss Girl, the rapper situation, I had already been speaking out. I had already went to all my superiors about this situation, but at this point it was just, I couldn't handle it no more. I couldn't take it no more, because it's like I never needed help making money. Okay, but they didn't care about that, and even the money that I brought into that club, it's like they just didn't value their girls. And that's been my biggest thing thus far, is that, there is no strip club without the girls. And the thing is that a lot of these strip club owners feel as if they can disrespect and just replace. A new girl turns 18 every day. And, that's very wrong of them to think that way. But at the end of the day, that's how they think. So in September 2023, I had a situation where I was in a bag, okay? I had came to work. I had got into this bag. It was me and 5 other girls, okay? I'm dancing in this bag. There's probably like $15,000 on the floor, okay? So if you know anything about being a stripper, which a lot of you guys might not, the DJ has a list. And on this list, they call up the girls by, your stage name for you to come on stage. So as I was in this section where they had already given us out wristbands and everything, okay, money's already on the floor, I get called to stage. I go to stage. When I get off from stage, what do? I go clean up, because I'm sweaty, I'm hot, I need to go freshen up. And if any of you bitches, if y'all go straight from stage back to a section, I'm going to question your body odor. But anyways, listen, at the end of the day, I was going to freshen up again. So I ended up going to the bathroom, which they have 2 bathrooms. There's the locker room bathroom downstairs, and there's the customer bathroom. Because of the fact that I didn't want anyone to think that I just left the bag, I went to the bathroom upstairs, to the actual customer bathroom. And when I went in there, I freshened up. I came right back out. When I came back out, I tried to walk in the section, and this person, Baller, strong-armed me and told me to back up. I'm not over here. Mind you, anytime that I go on stage, I let all the girls in the section know, hey, they called me to stage. Hey, I'm going on stage. Okay, just so there's no miscommunication of where I'm going. All right. So as I come back, he's telling me I'm not in a section. I'm sure I got my wristband. What are you talking about? And at this point, me and Baller had already had a lot of words with each other, because would tell him, I'm not giving you no money. You ain't taking no money from me. I don't need you to help me with no type of money, no nothing. I'm gorgeous, doll. I have a name. Now, it really sucks, because girls who don't have a voice like me, girls who don't just stand up for themselves, right? They just feel like they cannot do nothing about it, okay? But as soon as I started standing up for myself, this man tried to make my life miserable at this club. And everybody around me, all of my managers, owners, they were allowing it. And it was so confusing to me because what the fuck? Anyway, so as I came back to this section, he strong-armed me. Okay. He got his security guard, because here's the thing. Baller works with a certain security guard in this club, and all he has to do is snap his finger and that security guard will physically remove you from that section. If he has to pull you, drag you by your arm, which I have been dragged by my arms. I have the proof. I have the text messages, everything. I took a video of my arm that night because I actually had a bruise from it. Okay. So me being gorgeous doll, okay, a money maker, that bitch, being removed physically from a section was uncalled for, and especially in front of my superiors. I was like, who the fuck? Like, I was really emotional, to be honest. When it happened, I was so mad because the guys who were in the section, they knew me, right? They literally were like, no, she good. He like, nah, she ain't, right? Even though the customers, okay, and I have my text message proof for that too, because there was one customer that literally was like, hold on, I'm about to talk to him, I don't know what's going on, whatever, okay? So at this point, I'm explaining to him, you're not running shit. I already have my wristband. I have been dancing over here since 1 o'clock. It's like 2:30 now, okay? So I had spent most of my shift in this section, literally, okay? If you know anything about strip clubs, you know that it gets busy probably depending on what the club hours are. So Magic typically closes around 3:30, sometimes 4. If they're having an after party, they'll stay up until 6, 7 a.m. You know, you never know, but you know, on the regular days, 3:30 max. So that means that when this was happening, the club already, all the other sections were already made and picked out and everything. So this was my money for this night. The only bag that I was in that was being taken away from me, right? So from here, I go to the owner, Magic himself, and I tell him, Baller, I have a wristband. I went on stage. Mind you, you guys, I record everything. I said, I got a wristband. I went on stage. Mind you, I have a video of me and all the girls getting our wristbands. I got a video of the money because we popping it. I got a video of me on stage. Okay? Okay, so I literally have all of these things documented from this night. Okay? So Magic's like, oh, whatever Baller want to do is baller, whatever he says goes. No, whatever you say go, because this is your establishment and you're allowing this outside agent to take money from the girls. And I've been speaking on it to you multiple times and nothing has changed. Okay. So at this point, from the embarrassment of being taken out of the section, I go downstairs, I put on my regular clothes, because at this point it's like I'm not about to sit here already degraded because I'm in my stripper shit. You just had somebody remove me from this section, which embarrassed me even more, and then on top of that, now I gotta go defend myself. Now I gotta go to whatever manager, any owner that I can get to listen to me on, I've been in this section. This man just walked into this club, decided to walk in this section, and guess what he did, you guys? Mind you, remember I told y'all we had already had wristbands, right? He went downstairs, got a whole new set of wristbands after us being in this section for an hour and a half, and passed out new wristbands, and even added in a couple of girls himself. Exactly. So for me, I'm still in Magic's face. He's sitting there with his glass of red wine on the floor, talking about some well gorgeous, whatever Baller says. I'm like, no, Baller just got here. And the first thing he did was walk in this section that I'm in, that money was already on the floor, and tried to remove me from it. I said, it's not fair. That's not cool. Okay. At this point, Magic, he's talking to somebody else or whatever. And it's like, I'm like a little mole rat in his ear. Like, look, this is wrong. Like, get my money. Something like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Okay. So he's like, whatever y'all got going. He just wasn't helping. Okay. So me, I go downstairs to my management. I tell them. They tell me the same thing. Whatever Baller says. So what do? I get dressed and I sit down there and I wait and wait and wait till the night is over. Okay. Because at this point, anytime that I had tried to walk and get back in that section, I was being strong-armed by security. Every single time. Okay, it was very embarrassing and humiliating for me, especially for me to be a known entertainer. And this shit don't happen to me. I don't get disrespected. I don't get pulled and dragged out of sections. But this was the first time I ever experienced this in my life. Meet me at part 2. Story time part 2 of why I'm suing Magic City. And where we left off in part 1 was the last night that I ever had worked at Magic. And when I really was just fed up and, it was just time. It was time for me to really express and publicly let people know this is what they're doing to these girls, so anyways, where I left off, I was sitting downstairs, okay, because anytime I had tried to get back in this section, I'm being strong armed by security and embarrassed by this baller person. So when everybody comes downstairs, I'm in the office, okay, it's me, baller, one of the managers, well, it was two of the managers, and Magic himself. And I'm sitting here like, this is not cool. This is illegal. Like, you're letting him take money from us. Like, I've already been in this section. I want my cut. This is the only section that I was in this night. You get what I'm saying? And not that it would have made a difference if I was in multiple ones. I want all my money. Okay, so at this point, he's like, we're going to talk about it tomorrow. They're not even counting the bag tonight, whatever. So for me, I go talk to all the girls, and I still have my screenshots and my text messages from that group chat. They're like, gorgeous, we know you're in it. We don't know what the fuck baller got going on. He did try to add some more girls, but we know you're in it. Talk to Magic. We're going to come count tomorrow. Okay, cool. So one of the girls, right, she had told me, like, gorgeous, I know you're in the bag. We know you're in the bag. Baller is trying to say you're not. And I'm like, exactly. This is some bullshit. So next day, the same girl, she texts me and says, hey, we're meeting up to count at 8 o'clock. And she was like, I feel like you should talk to Magic and, explain to him what's going on. Okay. At this point in my head, I got proof. I got a group message of all the girls who was in the section saying that I was there and that baller was tripping. You get what I'm saying? So I'm like, this should be an easy thing because this is what I always have to go through anytime this man tries to control anything that has anything to do with my money. So I show up to Magic at 8 o'clock. Okay. And when I show up to Magic at 8 o'clock, none of the girls are there. Okay, because what ended up happening is the same girl who had my back, okay, she says that baller actually asked them to come in and count earlier to avoid moi. Because I guess she had ended up hitting up baller for me and being like, hey, like, gorgeous doll's in this bag. What are we going to do with her money? Whatever. We're all supposed to be meeting at the club at 8. And I guess he told them to meet at 6. So when I showed up in the office, there was money labeled with baller's name on it. That was my cut. And when I ended up hitting up the girl, she was like, I talked to Magic, I talked to baller, I think you need to talk to them. He's trying to just say you're not in the bag. And pretty much he was taking my cut. Yes. Oh, and taking money from the girls as well. So not only did he take my cut, but also he had the other girls pay him out of their cut. Yeah, just greedy, okay? So at this point, when I show up to the club, I'm furious. I'm upset. Magic, the owner, is not there. One of the managers is, which is like, he's one of the like younger guys that, just be working on the day shift, whatever. And he's like, gorgeous, I don't know what to say. Like, me, I pull out my phone, I'm calling my manager, and this manager is always telling me to go to Magic. Now, if I can't go through my point of command, I would seem like a problematic person, right? Because I'm calling the owner. Because my managers aren't doing their job. And my managers aren't doing their job for other reasons. But we'll get in that, okay? We'll get into that part of it, which is in the lawsuit. And so for me, I'm calling Magic. I'm blowing Magic's phone up. You really gonna let this man take my money from me? Like, this is crazy. So I leave the club. I go home, okay? I start getting dressed for yet another night. But I really started having, like, an anxiety attack in a way, because it was like, I'm being defeated. I'm doing everything right I'm supposed to be doing as an employee at this club, but I'm really being defeated, and I'm not going to cry. I know y'all see it, so I'll be right back. But at this point, I have felt very defeated. Like, I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do. Why is y'all letting this man control my money? And it's one thing where it's just the bullshit of him trying to take money. But no, you took my whole bag from that night. I had pretty much worked for free and paid a house fee. Oh, yeah, they took my money and I still had to pay a house fee. Still had to tip out everybody that wanted they tips. Everybody who had their hand out. Yeah, still had to do that. So, for me, I'm negative. I'm leaving the club negative. And y'all are going to let somebody take my money that I earned. Yeah, I was fed up. So at this point was where I propped my phone up as so. And I made a video. And I'll insert the clip from that video. You guys probably remember it because it did go pretty viral. okay? And it was me saying, we'll work at these clubs, you know, do our jobs, come in, shake this ass, whatever, and then somebody will literally be allowed to take that all from us, causing us to really, you know, second guess ourselves and what the legality of each situation is and what we're actually allowed and not allowed to have done to us. And I know that none of this is legal. So I'm speaking up on this, whatever. It ends up getting posted on a couple of blogs. I got a phone call from Magic. Okay, mind you, at this point, I'm still like working at Magic City. But how it happened is I posted that video. I went to work. When I got to work, I didn't even end up working because somebody had called me to come do a private party with one of my homegirls. So I wasn't even at the club when that video started building up a lot of traction, okay? So I'm still employed there, okay? So the next day was when the lotto situation happened. Now me, I don't work event nights. I don't work event nights because it's always some bullshit, okay? It's always some bullshit, whether it's too many girls and not enough money, whether they're going to try to take from the girls a percentage because, oh yeah, it's an event night, or it's a high-ass house fee, you know, or the club's too packed where you can't even move around and make your money, right? So I'm not an event night dancer, okay? At this event was when the money pickup situation had happened, and one of the girls who it happened to had let me know about what happened, and I ended up making a story, okay, about it. I didn't say the club's name. I didn't say her name, nothing. You know what TikTok does? They did their damn job, and they put everything together. Now we have 2 blog situations. Not only do we have this outside agent named Baller stealing from the girls, but also now this rapper has just come into the club and taken money from these girls, and the club did not protect the girls and stop this from happening in any type of way. Okay? So me, I'm like, damn, back to back to back to back, just stealing and letting anybody take our money. Okay, whatever. So from here, okay, I get a call from Magic, okay? You got my clubs all over the blogs and da-da-da. And I'm like, yeah, because you letting this man illegally take money from us. And then you letting customers do it too? So there ain't no type of line, no type of nothing. You just let anybody do anything to us. We ain't any type of value to you. We make you the money. There was no strip club without no strippers, right? So he's like, yeah, well, you know what? You don't like it? You're fired. I said, that's fine. You're going to fire me because I'm a whistleblower? He says, Georgia is an at-will state, which means that they could fire you for any reason. Yeah. There's a lot more to this story than just that. And so me, right? Another thing he had said when the conversation at first started, which is probably a second or third time saying this to me, you always calling my phone, you're gonna make my wife think like nobody calls me like you do. Yes, because your managers are not doing their job, because your managers are more focused on sexually harassing me than doing their jobs. And when I put that line of clearance and stop touching me, then it was, oh, okay, well, when you need to be helped about a bag, or someone's trying to put you out of something, or anything that involves my job, they made it very, very hard for me, okay? So at this point, I told Magic, that is fine. I will see you in court. And this was in September of 2023. So what did I do? I immediately, okay, started looking for employment lawyers. I immediately went to the EEOC and filed my own claim. Now, typically this is something that your lawyers will do, but me, I'm educated. I knew how to do it myself. So I went to the EEOC, I filed my claim, I put all the details, all of my proof, everything in there, okay? And from there, the EEOC took their time, did their investigation. They do notify the club, and they let them know, this person is saying that you're doing this wrong. What do you have to say? And their response, not verbatim, this is not verbatim, but their response, especially when it came to the sexual harassment allegation, was, this is how we treat all of our girls. That's not verbatim, but in summary, that's pretty much what we said. This is how, or what they said, this is how we treat our girls. Dumbest thing they could have did, because are you saying that sexual harassment, stealing money, retaliation, discrimination is okay? All right, so from there, okay, let's get into part 3. Story time, part 3 of why I'm suing Magic City. So where I had left off was telling you guys how I filed my charge to the EEOC. And pretty much this is your Equal Employment Opportunity Center. Okay. And this is where you're going to always submit a claim first, especially in Georgia, because this is who gives you the right to sue. They listen to your story. They tell the other person, hey, this is what they're saying you did. Okay. And then after they do their investigation for both sides, they say, we're going to give you the right to sue, or they deny you. So either you have to have enough evidence for them to believe you in what you're saying, or you don't and they deny you. Well, they approved me with my right to sue. They gave me my letter for the right to sue. Okay. So from here, after all of that, we ended up, I ended up getting with my lawyers, telling them, they told me exactly what this means, what are our next steps, whatever. So their lawyers and my lawyers are end up talking, whatever, and we begin something called a tolling agreement, because the EEOC, when they give you the right to sue, they give you 90 days to file the lawsuit in a public court. Okay. So during that 90 days, each party can work it out or file in court. So those first 90 days, mute. Nothing. Okay. It's like almost like they were saying, like, I'm a joke in a way. Like I'm a joke. Like, this isn't gonna go anywhere. I'm a joke. Okay, cool. So when it got close to the time of those 30 days, because my lawyers were like, you know what, Courtney, we'll try to show good faith. We're gonna show good faith, and we're gonna ask them how they want to go about this situation, allegedly. So for me, I told them file in court. File now. I don't want to wait, nothing. File now, because I know how these people are. And these people are going to literally BS me as long as they can. File it now. So when my lawyer came back, he was like, Courtney, we're going to enter a tolling agreement. So tolling agreements, you can enter them for 30, 60, 90 days, whatever, between my lawyers and their lawyers. They come up with a date, they agree. Okay. That's what they end up doing. So we went through, I think it was either 2 or 3 tolling agreements. So the first tolling agreement, 30 days, max it out, mute. Second one, they asked for like another tolling agreement. We gave it to them. Okay. Gave them another 30 days. So during this, it was either, we are going to do this tolling agreement up until we find a mediator to do the mediation. Okay. Now, I cannot speak on what happened in the mediation. I cannot speak on any of that. So we're just going to kind of skip over that. But I want to go back and say this. During this last year and a half, these people didn't say nothing to me. Okay. But they did sneaky things on social media. Okay. Example 1, if you saw the situation that just happened at the beginning of March, me arguing with grandpa, okay, these people who have not been on TikTok in over a year come on this platform, post a picture of grandpa and promoting their hoodie saying they support him, which is then in return them what? Antagonizing me, right? That's exactly what it is, antagonizing me, pretty much letting me know, we support him. But my thing is, why are you getting my business? And that's exactly what I said. Why are you getting in my business? Don't you have to see me in a couple of weeks in mediation? Why are you even coming on TikTok? And the first post that you had before ever coming on TikTok about my situation was a year ago. Literally. Y'all don't get on TikTok. But y'all got on here to make sure that I understood, hey, another person against you, sweetheart, right? That's exactly what they did. So in return, I made a post saying, why would you guys insert yourself in my business like that? Knowing the whole world is watching what I have going on right now. Why would you come on here? And what that showed me is that they pretty much are like, fuck you. We still don't care that you're suing us. We don't care, right? Because my thing is that if I had a business, okay, and I knew that somebody was suing me, I would not go on social media and antagonize that person knowing I have to meet with them in a couple of weeks. If I was meeting with them in good faith, okay, in good faith, as in you had good intentions to rectify and handle this situation. Like I said, I can't speak on the actual details because mediations are confidential, but yeah, so From there, after I made that video saying, y'all got to see me in a couple of weeks, guess what they did? They decided to send me a cease and desist and call me a liar. Okay? Not only did they send me a cease and desist and call me a liar, they tried to say it was the second one. Yeah, I've had the same lawyers since September of 2024, or 2023, I'm sorry, since September of 2023. And in this cease and desist that they sent me, they also said that they sent me one back in August of 2024, which is a lie. Because you see how I just got this first one? Is the same way you would have went about getting me. You know what I'm saying? The real first one. You know, you guys sent a cease and desist to my lawyers, but then tried to say that you had already sent one before that nobody ever received. Mind you, my email is the same. Okay? And I have emails between me and Magic City, me and their H&R. You know, when they send over those contracts and stuff like that. So if you would have sent me a first cease and desist, right, you would have sent it via email how you did this one, and we never received one. So what that was them doing was once again antagonizing me, once again poking a bear, once again saying, hey, you're lying, but we're still going to antagonize you because we can, right? As soon as my lawyer called me about that cease and desist, I was hot, okay? Because you're sending a cease and desist over the comments that I said, telling you to stay out of my business, that you had no reason to stick your nose in, right? You antagonized me. So then when I gave a response of stay out of my business, you got to see me in a couple of weeks, then you send me a cease and desist saying that I'm a liar and all this other stuff. Knowing that I have black and white proof of everything that I'm saying. Right? That was them again antagonizing me. But I couldn't tell you guys that yet because we had to figure out when are we filing this in a public court. Because now that it's filed in a public court, I can talk about it all day till I'm blue in the face. Right? And that's what a lot of people I think are misunderstanding too. They're like, oh, why is she just now? Why is she just now? Because we were giving them the option of making it right on their own. We were giving them the option of being accountable on their own instead of having a jury of my peers having to force them to do the right thing, you know? But when they ended up saying, hey, we're about to do this documentary. They had never sent me a cease and desist. They have never had any communication with me about this situation in any type of, you know, other way than antagonizing me on the internet. So now that they're about to drop this Stars documentary, now they want to quiet me, right? If I could guess what's going to happen over the next week or next couple of days is not only are they going to probably call me a liar, but they're going to try to bully me. They're probably going to try to hit me with a slap suit. And what a slap suit is when you try to retaliate against somebody for suing you. So you hit them with a countersuit in hopes that it will literally make them go broke, having to fight it, or make them back up, make them kind of scared, you know? Look up slap suit, or I'll actually put the definition in here. But I have never lied about anything this whole time. I have no reason to. These are real stories, and these are exactly what I've been through. And that's all I talk about is my life, you know? And you'd think that I would file a lawsuit against the #1 strip club in the world without having my facts together or on lies? You think that I would take the chance to file this lawsuit if I had did any wrongdoing or if anything I was saying wasn't pure facts? No, I wouldn't. But because I know that everything I'm saying is correct, is facts, and I have proof along with other girls who experienced the same thing dating back to 2022, I got girls that are literally 40-something that used to work at Magic City that dealt with the same thing, the same baller, everything. But that's what led up to me suing them. Now we're going to get into part 4 where I'm going to read you guys the lawsuit and try to get you guys to understand it a little better. Story time part 4, why I'm suing Magic City. Now, I see a lot of comments where you guys are like, oh my God, it's just like Tyler Perry's Beauty in Black. Yes, but no, you know? And for me, like when I've watched Beauty in the Black in full, and there's so many like details that match up, yeah, But it's like, you know, I ain't gonna say too much, but Tyler, call me, okay? Because how you get that story? How you know? But anyways, except the ending where she ends up owning the whole company and she's a multi-millionaire and everybody works for her now. Yeah. Anyways, a lot of you guys are also asking, where are the other girls? Where are the other girls? They're scared. They're scared. Literally. They're scared of one or two things. Even being retaliated against, losing their job, being blackballed. Oh, because I forgot to tell you guys that too. He also, allegedly, also tried to make it to where I was blackballed in Atlanta. Yeah, I've been retaliated against for the last year and a half. I have been having my name played with for the last year and a half. And for me, I'm clearing it on all ends. Any situation where I've ever had somebody play with my name or play with my character, I'm coming out the woodworks and I'm cleaning all of that up all year because I know what's real and I know what proof and receipts I have as well. Literally, I have it all. But that shows you how people will choose to believe the people that they literally don't realize would do the same thing to you. Right? All the girls, any of the girls who ever felt like, oh, Gorgeous Doll is the problem. No, I'm the savior. And I'm literally speaking up to help you guys. But because most girls who are in clubs aren't girls, because they honestly are very for themselves, you know, they would rather be against me than take a look at the real enemy, which is the person that is literally having their work environment be a horrible environment to be in, toxic, taking money, all these situations they are doing to you. But they would rather believe that I'm the problem because when a lot of girls in the nightlife look at me, they feel like, oh, she don't know what she's talking about. No, I know what I'm talking about. And it sucks that after a year and a half later, a lot of these girls who spoke down about me, spoke badly on my name, called me crazy, said that I was a liar, are now the same girls in my inbox asking me for my lawyer's information. How do y'all think that makes me feel when I know this whole time I've been doing nothing but telling the truth? And you guys, instead of choosing to link up with a fellow dancer, with a fellow girl who literally lives the same life as you, you decided to go be loyal to a club that literally would kick you to the curb because somebody turns 18 every day. Okay? I'm just one person, but I really want a lot of girls to open their eyes, right? How do you think they would go about it if it was you? Do you think that it would be any different? Do you think that it would be any better? Do you think that these people would give a fuck about you? Really ask yourself that question and then ask yourself the next question. Why am I trying to protect people who literally wouldn't give a fuck if something happened to me tomorrow? Those people do not care about you. Today's the 1st. Rent is due. Do you think they give a fuck if you made your rent today? Do you think that they're going to come and help you and save you in any situation in real life? No. And that's the thing, is with a lot of people saying, where's the other girls? Where's the other girls? The other girls chose to be loyal because they didn't have the knowledge or education to know that they were being done wrong. I'm not upset at these girls. I don't feel no type of way. I really don't. I just really hope that they start to open their eyes and realize what's going on around them. Because as a dancer, we have a shelf life, right? We have a shelf life. And when that shelf life is up, right? Do you think that those people in that club are going to be there to help you when it's expired? No, they're not. But anyways, let's get into the lawsuit, okay? So, I'm the plaintiff. Hi, my name is Courtney. Some people call me Gorgeous Doll. And then it's versus Paradise Entertainment Group, which is a DBA for Magic City, and the owner, Michael Barney Sr., okay? Now, under that umbrella is a lot of other people, but we're just going to say Paradise, okay? This is a civil action file. I'm sorry, and here's my complaint. Plaintiff, Courtney, brings this complaint against the defendant, Paradise Entertainment Group, which would be Magic City, and Michael Barney Sr. as follows. This is a wage and hour case brought pursuant to the minimum wage provisions of the Fair Labor Standard Act. What they're pretty much saying is, this is starting because of the fact that this club has been taking money from this girl in large amounts, on top of also having her pay fees that she's not supposed to be paying. Plaintiff also alleges me that she was terminated in retaliation for her complaints of having to pay illegal kickbacks in violation of 29 U.S. Code 215A3, which pretty much says, I said that they terminated me because I was bringing a lot of stuff aware. I was bringing shit to the table, letting them know this is wrong. This is wrong. Okay? So it also says plaintiff seeks to recover minimum wages owed, illegal kickbacks paid to the defendant, loss of income due to her termination, liquidated damages, attorney fees, and costs and other reliefs afforded by the FLSA pursuant to 29 U.S. Code 215 and 216B. Okay, which is pretty much saying I want them to pay for everything that they did wrong. I want them to pay for all of the illegal kickbacks and money. Illegal kickbacks, house fee, tipping your house mom, tipping sweepers, tipping. Listen, if any money that you spend in this club, right, that is an extra kickback. Even your house fee is an extra kickback. The money that you tip the bathroom or the what is it called? The money that you tip the house mom, right? You know, when they're sitting there at the door at the end of the night saying, "Oh, so you ain't gonna tip me? You ain't gonna give me some money?" And they bully you into giving them some of your money, or they act like they're gonna have a problem with you. Illegal kickbacks. Okay? Listen. Plaintiff asserts claims for sexual harassment being subjected to a sexual hostile work environment and within the meaning of Title VII, and retaliation for rejecting the sexual harassment and therefore for rejecting the sexual harassment and for reporting the sexual harassment to management in violation of Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 as amended, 42 U.S. Code 2000E-2A. Okay? Paradise Entertainment owns and or operates as a gentleman's bar located out of 241 Forsyth Street, Southwest Atlanta, Georgia. It employed Courtney as a dancer from early September 2022 to September 2023. During the time, defendants required Hale to pay a portion of her tips to a manager and or agent as a condition of her employment. So not only a house fee, but also a baller. Illegal, okay? The termination of Hale's employment by Paradise Entertainment was substantially motivated by retaliation for her request to be paid properly paid minimum wage and her earned tips in accordance with the FLSA, as well as her complaints of sexual harassment to my manager. Pretty much what that says is that my termination was retaliation for my request of them to stop letting Baller take money from me, to stop taking illegal kickbacks from me, and also because I had a manager who was sexually harassing me in ways, and we're going to get there. The court has subject matter jurisdiction over the present action under Article 3, 2 of the United States Constitution, FLSA 16B, 29 U.S. Code 216B, and 28 U.S. Code 1331. Because this case arises under the FLSA and the Title VII federal statutes that after interstate. Next part. Story time, part 5. Continue for me to summarize this lawsuit for you guys. So where we left off was at jurisdiction and venue, okay? This court has subject matter jurisdiction over the present action under Article 3, 2 of the United States Constitution, FLSA 16B, 29 U.S. Code 216B, and 28 U.S. Code 1331. Because this case arises under the FLSA and Title VII, federal statutes that affect interstate commerce, okay? Venue properly lies in the North District of Georgia, which is pretty much saying where the club is, because Paradise Entertainment conducts business in Georgia within this judicial district, and a substantial portion of the events giving rise to the claims heroin arose in this dirt. Pretty much saying this happened here, and this is in this jurisdiction, and this is where it happened, okay? So the parties, it says Me, I reside in Florida. Paradise Entertainment employed Hale as a dancer approximately early September 2022 throughout September 2023. At all times, marital hereunto, Hale was an employee, me, okay, was an employee of Paradise Entertainment within meaning of FLSA, and that's 29 U.S. Code 203E1. Paradise Entertainment is a domestic profit corporation organized under the laws of the state of Georgia. At all times, marital hereto, Paradise Entertainment was an employer of Courtney within the meaning of FSLA. Pretty much is saying that I'm within all of my rights to sue them because they violated the FSLA, and that stands in the Northern District of where they're at. Pretty much my lawyers broke down why the FSLA claim is legit and why it stands for what I'm saying, which pretty much is saying that I'm in this area and this area is covered by this law. Okay? Okay, cool. During 2022, Paradise Entertainment had 2 or more employees handling, selling, or otherwise working on goods or materials that have been moved in or produced for commerce by any person within the meaning of 29 U.S. Code 203 S1A. Such goods include liquor and other beverages that have traveled in interstate commerce. Okay, so this is pretty much them saying, you know, the details of the club. This club sells liquor. This club has this amount of employees. This club does this. This club does that. And that's why they fall under this umbrella for FLSA. Okay, during 2023, Paradise Entertainment had an annual gross volume of sales made or business done of not less than 500,000. Pretty much saying that they were making over 500,000 a year with everything that they're doing, okay? Which, you know, like I said, this is my lawyers breaking down why they are responsible for their actions and what laws in their jurisdiction covers me from them breaking them, okay? I'm going to continue right here, okay, where it says, at all times during the relevant time period, Paradise Entertainment failed to compensate Hale on a salaried basis. Okay, because when you get hired at Magic, they don't hire you as a independent contractor. They hire you as an employee. They're supposed to give you a paycheck. They're supposed to document hours. You're like a server. They're paying you $2.13 an hour, and what they do, this is what they do, okay, is every dance that you dance on the floor, you have to pay them $10. Yeah, so, example. If I went in the club and I had a friend in there that was working and I said, hey, come dance for me, and she did 5 songs, okay? Say she did 5 songs, each song is $10 a song. That $50 she has to pay to the club, and she only gets to keep any extra money that I throw. So, another example. Say somebody comes in and they dance me. They throw $200 and I dance 10 songs, okay? I have to automatically give the club $10 for each song. So out of the 300, I only made 200 because this club's expecting you to pay $10 per dance back to the club. Okay, cool. So, at all times during the relevant time period, Paradise Entertainment contends it compensated Hale at an hourly rate of $2.13 an hour plus tips, okay? And this is how I would say that they would pick and choose and pocket watch when it came to our house fees. Because what they like to say is they sit in the office and watch each girl and count each girl's amount of dances. And then at the end of the night, they tell you how much you owe. So what they're saying they do, allegedly, is sit back in the office, look up at the camera, say, okay, gorgeous doll, 1 song, 2 song, 3 song, 4 song, 5 songs. She owes us $50 off of that customer alone. What? So as an independent contractor, that wouldn't happen. If you're an independent contractor, right, any money you throw that people give to you, it's yours. And you do only pay a house fee to work there. That's it. No extra fees. Okay? Okay, cool. So at all relevant times, Paradise Entertainment failed to inform Hale of the provisions of the 29 U.S. Code 203, which is pretty much saying that They didn't even tell me about the fact that they were breaking the code. They were breaking the code, you know? That's it. Let me look and get to the next part. Okay, so throughout the relevant time period, Paradise Entertainment required Hale to share her tips with an agent of Paradise Entertainment nicknamed Baller. Actual name unknown. I know the name. I got pictures. But anyways, plaintiff paid other kickbacks as well, such as a house fee of $100 to $300 per night, DJ fees of $20 to $100 per night, and security fees of $50 to $100 per night. Throughout the relevant time period, Hale normally worked shifts at Magic City on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Mondays. During the relevant time period, Hale was normally scheduled from 11:30 until 3:30 a.m. during each work shift. Now, when I started being retaliated against, right? Because they do. If you're a dancer at Magic City, you have to be at work by 11:30, okay? When I told one of my managers to stop touching on me, stop being so overly sexual towards me, I would get at the door at 11:25. And security would say, yeah, you need to call this manager so they can tell us if you could work or not. And it became to a point where they were retaliating against me because I was speaking out for myself. So if I didn't get to work at like 10 or 9 o'clock, if I got to work at 11:20, when I got to the door, they would pick me out specifically and say, call somebody in the office because you need approval, while they let every other girl walk past me and get in with no problem. And this was retaliation because I had a manager who was, hold on, let me get to it, I'm gonna read it to you. On September 30th of 2023, defendants under the Twitter name Magic City Atlanta posted and published a statement in reference to me that girl does not work here and is crazy AF. Defendants published a disbarring September 30th, 2023 statement about the plaintiff to discredit her allegations and objections to the FSLA violations and for other statutory protected speech, and to retaliate against her for engaging in such protected activity. Pretty much saying they retaliate against me and I'm protected by the law. And for them to do that was illegal. Let's get into the next part. Story time. I think we're at like part 5 or 6 and we're getting into this lawsuit. And where I left off was telling you guys how they were, you know, trying to discredit my name, and they wrote on Twitter on September 30th that I do not work there and I'm crazy as fuck, right? Which was to pretty much make my word mean nothing. That's called defamation of character and retaliation, okay? So from there, it pretty much just states the why they violated, you know, those laws of retaliation and discrimination. So I'm at this part. It's part 107, which when you guys actually can get in the Pacer system and look at it, you guys will know what I'm talking about. But it says, prior to terminating my employment, the defendants never counseled, warned, suspended, or disciplined me in any other manner whatsoever. I never had a write-up. I never had been in trouble. I never had gotten called to the principal's office, is what you would say. I had never had any warnings. I had never had hey, a week, you're suspended. I have never had that. I've never been suspended, never got a warning, never got a write-up, never. I was never even on the fat list. And let me tell you guys something. At Magic City, they have a list that they have in their office, allegedly. But it's a list that they keep in the office. It's very degrading. And pretty much with that list, it embarrasses the girls, because what they'll do is if they feel like a girl is too overweight or a girl needs to lose a few pounds, they'll give them a certain amount of time to lose that weight before they fire them. And in return, what does that do? That causes girls who look perfectly fine. When I say perfectly fine, when I would look at that fat list, I would be like, are they fucking delusional? Literally making girls want to starve themselves. Literally making girls want to run out the country to have surgery a week after being put on the fat list because of the fact that, oh, they're going to fire me because of these 5 or 10 pounds. When I tell you, I'm not going to say her name. I'm not going to say her name. But it was this girl, right? She was brown skinned, beautiful, built like a stallion. Okay? Literally built like a stallion, body T. They put her on the fat list, and she literally ran out the country to have surgery the following week and ended up getting an infection and being in the hospital. I'm not going to say much more about that situation because I don't know what she's doing about it or if she even is. But she went, got the lipo, had to recover. But by the expiration of those 30 days, allegedly, that she was given to get that weight together, she went and had lipo, but also had complications after surgery because of the fat list. Who the fuck are you men to tell anybody that they're fat? And y'all, we're talking about girls that weigh 130 and they want them to weigh 120. We're not talking about girls that's 200 pushing 210. No, we're talking about beautiful, fit girls that they're just saying, oh no. The first thing that they would do, allegedly, if there was a girl who was, causing any issues or speaking out or saying anything, that was one of the first things they would do, is put them on that fat list and make it as if they're going to get fired because of their weight, when that was never the problem. And they have so many girls in there mentally draining themselves and thinking, oh, I got to lose weight, or I got to stay at this. I need to, when they look fine. I had a friend who was put on the fat list one time, and I literally told her, girl, you're fucking fine. Literally. Her trying to force herself to throw up. Her trying to force herself to not eat as much because these people told her that she was on the fat list. None of you girls are fat. They're just trying to hold a mental control over you to make you think you are. And a smarter person, somebody who's educated, who's mentally there, could see that from a mile away. But they know how girls are in clubs, and they know that a lot of girls who work in these clubs are insecure because their whole way of making money is by their look, their face, their body. So how do you break a girl mentally who's probably bad as fuck, makes great money? You tell her that she's fat. It's a motherfucking shame, y'all. It's a motherfucking shame. But anyways, the fat list. I'll be right back. So now let's get into a part that, personally for me, I feel like it got worse after this, okay? In line 116, it says, defendant, Paradise Entertainment Group, Incorporated, their manager, sexually harassed and assaulted the plaintiff several times each month throughout the plaintiff's employment. Said manager groped the plaintiff on a weekly basis by forcibly grabbing her breasts and buttocks on a weekly basis. Manager would often make vulgar statements to the plaintiff such as, I want to eat you and fuck your throat. This particular harassment is reflected in a text message. And I will insert it if I need to. Plaintiff was subjected to acts of sexual harassment and assault on a regular and reoccurring basis to the extent that it was severe and pervasive and maternally affected the plaintiff's terms of employment and created a sexually hostile work environment. Let me tell you what happened. I had a manager, okay? And they were fascinated with me, okay? Every time I would walk in the office to clock in, they would walk up, and instead of just giving me a hey girl hug, it would be a hug and grabbing the back of my ass, lifting me off the ground type of shit, okay? Literally, always saying sexual stuff to me. And for a minute in the beginning, I didn't say anything. I'm at a new club. This is my manager, so I'm not gonna say anything right immediately, right? But I got fed the fuck up. And one day I did say something, okay? And let me tell you how that worked out. It didn't. My money started being played with, okay? There would be times I'd be at the door at 11:20. They would tell me to call them, and that person would say, yeah, you're too late. I'd be like, what do you mean? It's 11:20. They'd be like, yeah, well, it's too many girls. Sorry. What? There was a time where this said manager texted my phone or messaged me on Instagram and said, not verbatim, I want to fuck you. I want to grab you by your ears and fuck you by your throat. I left that message on read. I never entertained it. I never replied. I never did anything. You know what their response was to the EEOC about that? They said that they were responding to a poll that was on my Instagram story. So you know what I did? I took a video of me creating a poll, and I showed that if you were responding to a poll, it would only give you a certain amount of options to choose. This was a blank, direct message. This was not a poll. Caught that lie very fast through the EEOC. My lawyer submitted that video showing them this was not a poll. This was an unhinged message to this girl, sexually harassing her, okay? At that point, when I stopped being real cool with this manager and stopped letting them, like, my thing is it's like, I don't care what it is. Sexual harassment is not okay. I don't care if I worked at a McDonald's. When you say hey to me, when you hug me, you don't grab my ass. You don't grab my, tatas and say, oh my God, these are so nice, girl. Like, you don't do anything like that because you hold a higher position. You are my manager. Period, point blank. And even for them to lie and say that that direct message was from a poll on my Instagram, knowing that I would be able to go back through, create a poll, and show them that this was not a poll, this was an unhinged message. Why are you lying? Why are you lying? It was just crazy. But my thing is that for them to deny it is even worse. For them to reply and say that's the relationship we have with a lot of the girls, allegedly, is even worse. Hold on. So it says, as a result of the repeated sexual harassment and defendant Paradise Entertainment Group's refusal and failure to stop the sexual harassment, plaintiff has suffered emotional distress and is entitled to compensation in an amount to be determined in the enlightened conscience of the jury. It's pretty much saying that I'm entitled to be paid for what happened to me, and a jury will decide. Plaintiff filed a charge of discrimination with the EEOC within 180 days of the last sexual harassment act. The EEOC charge was assigned charge number, and it says the charge number. And then I received notice of the right to sue on 8/13/2024. Story time, part 6, okay, where we left off as I was telling you guys about the sexual harassment that I endured from one of my managers. And I was talking to you guys about how I filed the EEOC charge, okay? The one thing about the EEOC is you have to file a charge between 180 days after the last incident. So if something happened to you, you have 180 days to file. In some cases, they will extend it and give you 360 days, but you have to request that. So I filed my EEOC charge within 180 days of the last incident of sexual harassment, okay? And they gave me the right to sue immediately. After doing their investigation, after me turning in all of my proof, after them calling me a liar, after them saying, oh, no, it was an Instagram poll, and me showing that, no, it was a direct message, and I never replied to it. And then they started making my time at Magic worse than what it already was, and that I couldn't go to my manager because my manager is telling me to go to Magic because they no longer want to help me because I'm not allowing them to grope all over me and say sexual, explicit things to me anymore. Retaliation. Exactly. So pretty much we've went through the gist of the lawsuit. It was just, the details of them calling me crazy, the details of, them taking money. But this is what I pray. This is the end of it. This is what I want. That my claims be tried before a jury, that judgment be entered in my favor against the defendant, finding that this defendant violated 29 U.S. Code 206 minimum wage requirements as stated in counts 1 and 2 of this complaint. That judgment be entered in my favor against the defendant Paradise Entertainment Group, awarding me due but unpaid minimum wages and also additional equal amount as liquidated damages in the amount to be determined at trial as stated in counts 1 and 2. That judgment be entered in her favor against the defendant, awarding me an amount equivalent of the tips earned by defendants in the violation of FSLA pretty much saying that they pay me all the money that they allowed people to take back from me. They paid me all the house fee, or they paid me all the house fees, all the tip outs, everything that I ever spent working at that club. That was an illegal kickback. And that the judgment be entered in my favor against both defendants, finding that they determined my employment, or they terminated my employment in retaliation for my complaints of FSLA violations, and award me compensatory damage arising from defendants' unlawful retaliatory acts, including emotional damage, loss of income, and lost benefits amount to be determined at trial against defendants, and an amount to be determined. This pretty much just says, you guys, that I hope that a judge and a jury of my peers read everything, see all of my receipts, and understand that just because they don't know their laws, I know mine, and they violated all of them in every way they could, especially when it came to me. A lot of people don't know about the sexual harassment that I went through. A lot of people don't know that, the day that I stopped working there, they tried to erase me from the system. You see, they tried to lie on Twitter and say that I was crazy as fuck and never worked there, as if I didn't have thousands of videos all over my TikTok, or thousands of videos, or as if they didn't have this picture on their page promoting their hoodie. They really tried to make me seem like a big liar, as if anything I'm saying could not be true, even with me having the proof of it all. Even for them to go on Twitter and say she is crazy as fuck and never worked here, as if they didn't have a whole picture of me on their Instagram account promoting a Christmas hoodie because they asked me to be their brand ambassador, because they knew the value that I brought to that club. Not saying that it wasn't already a valuable club, it was. But when I went there, I took my customers that I've had for years, people that pull up and spend 60, 70, 80,000, 100,000 at a time. I brought my customers in there because my customers follow me wherever I go. So you guys, I've been through a lot, and I understand why a lot of girls don't speak up, because a lot of girls are not strong enough to go through what I've went through, especially alone. But I have went through it alone. I'm at the end of the road, and now I'm going to leave it up to a judge and a jury of my peers to decide where they stand. But as of today, these people are still saying that I'm a liar. They're still saying, what do I get out of lying? What do I get out of lying? They act like I don't have proof. They act like they haven't seen all the receipts. And that shows you that some people will literally have a book of receipts on you and still lie to make you seem as if you're crazy. And that's my point, is that through this whole thing, I want to clear my name. I want people to know I'm not crazy. I just know my laws, and I know my rights, and I know my amendments. I know what people can and cannot do. Does that make me a bad person that I know my rights? No. That makes me an aware person. That makes me one of them ones, one of the few that actually care about how people treat them. And that's my biggest thing. So this lawsuit will be in the PACER system. My lawyer is going to send me a direct link. I'll send it to you guys so you guys can look at it. A lot of the blog pages have already pulled it up. You could probably see it on there as well. But at the end of the day, we are about to get into a lawsuit, and it probably will be long. It probably will be a process. But at the end of the day, I do not play about myself, and I will stand 10 toes down on business every time. And I feel like any other girl who's been subject to anything that I just read, I feel like, depending on who you are, if you ever need to talk to me, or if you need me to help you talk to some lawyers, you can call me. My intentions right now are just getting this club to take accountability for what they put me through and what they did. That's it. That's all. I loved magic before I started working there, and realizing the things that they did behind closed doors. I have no intentions of trying to ruin this club. I have no intentions on trying to degrade or defame this club at all. I just want them to be accountable for what they did to me and pay for the money that they were taking from me. Am I one of many? Yes. I don't know. But at the end of this, I hope to just be heard, be understood, and make so many other women aware. You do not got to deal with that bullshit. You don't. Now, if you want to stick around and you enjoy dancing and you want to be there for 15, 20 years dealing with the same shit, and then as soon as your shelf life starts to approach, they start treating you like shit, be my guest. Me? No. No. I was only there for a year and I knew what they were doing was wrong. It's time for a lot of you girls to smarten up. It really is. Instead of hating me for me doing it and me being able to smarten up about myself and come to surface with this. Anyways, guys, bye y'all.